Welcome back to Table Talk and Tumbleweeds and our discussion of the Lord of the Rings for Lent. Before that, I should always say subscribe and make comments, share with anyone that you want to share with, and also in the links below you can see information and links to other websites and everything else. So today we are going up to, we just looked over, so we're going up to the end of the chapter, the Forbidden Pool.
Yes.
And so we have in this one, really what we're focusing on is Frodo and Sam. Last week we talked a lot about the other members of the Fellowship and the Ents, and we may touch on that again. But today we're looking at Frodo and Sam and both their encounter with Smeagol. Slash Gollum,
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that in the next video. But today, we really wanted to start out because thinking about this theme of fellowship, and our theme for today is humility.
Yeah.
And we are focusing on Faramir and the big choice that Faramir makes to refuse the ring.
Yeah. In serious contrast with his brother Boromir.
In serious contrast with his brother Boromir. And I think it's probably worth it to start out with. I mean, one of the things that's really interesting is how quickly, when Faramir encounters Frodo and Sam, how quickly he sizes up just in that little glance, that little hesitation, because he's like, "Oh, you knew my brother, were you friends?"
Yeah.
And Frodo hesitates just a moment because it's that hesitation, and it's really interesting how quickly Faramir, who clearly knows his brother quite well, really gets it.
There's a touch of that younger brother who has been put upon for the last however many decades, and understands who his older brother is.
And he's kind of, he kind of, and then as the conversation lingers, he sort of pulls Frodo aside because he kind of realizes at some point, okay, we're talking about stuff that I don't want everyone to hear about. And he says, I don't know what the thing is that you're hiding, some heirloom of power, a fell weapon devised by the Dark Lord. If it were a thing that gave advantage in battle, I can believe well that Boromir, proud and fearless, often rash, there's that impatience, right? Often rash, ever anxious, impatience for the victory of Minas Tirith and his own glory therein, might desire such a thing and be allured by it. And he says, don't worry, but don't worry.
I'm different.
I'm different. I would not take this thing if it lay by the highway.
Yeah.
Not were Minas Tirith falling in ruin and I alone could save her, using the weapon of the Dark Lord for her good and my glory. No, I do not wish for such triumphs. Frodo, son of Drogo.
Yeah. And the question that really comes out of this is, where does he develop this strength of character?
Yeah.
Where does this come from that he's willing to say, even if I found it by the side of the road? And we've talked about this already, where people who claim the ring through violence comes to them. Those who find it generally do better with it most of the time.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so
It's like the ring, the ring is able to worm its way into the cracks and crevices of your soul.
Yeah, and so for Faramir to say, even if I came across it honestly, I wouldn't take it.
And it's kind of weird that he says that because he has no idea really what it is.
Well, he must know at least some bits and pieces, right? There's definitely some stories that everybody knows about this thing.
Well, it's hard
Especially
to know.
the stewards of
Yeah,
Mordor.
but I think essentially what Faramir is saying, I wouldn't do it because that's not who I am. And in fact, isn't that
It's not that
I
grasping
don't
for
I
power
don't want
and
those
glory.
things. They're just not attractive to me. I don't miss them because I don't want them. Right? And I think now I don't really know, and maybe this is something, if I was searching through the text again, I said, where does this come from? How does he do this? But I think it's there wherever it comes from, right? That Faramir is like, yeah, I'm not that guy, and I loved my brother. He was a great guy and a fearless warrior, and I'm sure that he died doing something right because he was an honorable man, even if he let this other side, get a hold of him. But Faramir has integrity, and what exactly does he know when he's saying that?
Well, and the question that sort of comes up, does it matter? He knows that this is a dangerous thing. It, in some fashion, tempted his brother. He knows that it is not his. And so does it matter what it is?
If it tempted my brother, I probably should stay away from it.
So it doesn't matter what it is. He just knows this is bad news, and so I'm going to make the choice.
Yeah, because
and
I
this
got
is
other
a
things
choice to be humble in this moment and say, this is not about me.
And he also doesn't have, to be fair to Boromir, he doesn't have Boromir's responsibility. He's the younger brother.
He does now.
He does now, but he's not really going to get it because his dad's not going to let him have it.
Yeah, that's true.
His dad. So yeah. Anyway, I mean, the part I'm thinking that, it's only when they're sitting there talking and Sam's going on and on and on. He says, "Oh, Boromir, oh, the ring," and oh,
Yeah,
and
he's
Frodo
just being too free.
Yeah, and Frodo, who's kind of dozing a little bit, is like, "Oh my God, Sam, what have you done?" It's like Pippin is not here, so you have to put your foot in your mouth. And that's when Faramir knows that it's the ring,
Yes.
right? And did he suspect before?
It's hard to know.
Yeah.
It's very hard to know. These are the stewards of Gondor, so they do know stuff. They do know things.
And he talks
Faramir
about,
especially is the one, because Boromir's the one who's out doing stuff. Faramir's the one who is digging through the old
but
texts.
he was watching Gandalf, Mithrandir, right?
Yes.
When Gandalf was there going through the stuff, he's like,
Yeah.
he's like
So
a little budding scholar.
I suspect that he has a suspicion. He can't prove it until Sam goes, "The ring!" And then he goes,
ring,
"Oh,
yeah.
okay, yeah, I was right."
But it's Faramir's responsibility to that, there's no exclamation point, but I can sort of feel it there. The one ring that was thought to have perished from the world,
Yeah.
and Boromir tried to take it by force, and you escaped and ran all the way to me. And here in the wild I have you, 2 halflings and a host of men of my call in the Ring of Rings, a pretty stroke of fortune, a chance for Faramir, captain of Gondor, to show his quality. Ha! He stood up, very tall, stern, his gray eyes glinting. And that's just a little bit of, Tolkien teasing with us a little bit, right? Because Faramir is like, and then that's when Frodo's like, "Oh, so what are you going to do? You're going to take it?" And he's like, "No.
He's going to show his quality.
I'm going to show my quality," in part because the men of Gondor, whereas, I don't have the quote here, but so I'm going to paraphrase. The men of Gondor, you should know this, the men of Gondor are truth tellers, right? So there's that truth again. The men of Gondor are truth tellers, and so even if I really wanted the ring, I wouldn't take it because I said I wouldn't, right? Before, when I said even if it was on the side of the road. So even if I decided I wanted to take it, I can't take it.
Because that's not my integrity. That's
Actually,
not
I do have it here.
Yeah.
We are truth speakers, men of Gondor. We boast seldom and then perform or die in the attempt. Not if I found it on the highway would I take it, I said, and even if I were such a man, but I'm not, as to desire this thing, and even though I knew not clearly what this thing was when I spoke, still I should take those words as a vow and be held by them. And then he says, but I am not such a man, or I am wise enough to know that there are some perils from which a man must flee. So there there's wisdom in there, but it's wisdom that comes from humility.
Yeah.
Right? I know I'm not unlike Boromir, who's like, I am such a man.
Well, and it's not even a knowledge of the thing. It's the knowledge of himself.
Yes.
It's not saying, "Oh, this thing is a wonderful thing. It's a powerful thing. It's to be desired. It is a powerful thing that can give me what I want." And that's the treachery. And so he knows himself to know well enough, I should not do this. What I might say is that if we step out of Tolkien for a moment and go to C.S. Lewis.
Okay.
So Screwtape Letters
Yep.
presents the idea that humility, correctly understood, is not what everyone thinks it is, which is a smart man trying to pretend that he's dumb.
Uh-huh.
Humility is the correct assessment of good in the world, and a love of that good, whether it's yours or not.
Okay.
And so Faramir is showing this humility, and he says, what is good, and is assessing it correctly, and good is not me having it. And so what is good is trusting Frodo and Sam to go and do this thing, because that is the correct assessment of good. And if it doesn't involve me, that's okay. And that's a very difficult understanding of humility.
I think that's an interesting understanding because, I do think there's a layer in there, but I think that part of I think what your definition and how I would define it sort of connect up is I would use the term discernment, right? The ability to discern what is good.
Good word.
Right? But also discernment has an element of self-reflexivity, right?
Yes.
it's like a team, right? If you're playing basketball on a team, sometimes there's the superstar and that guy is good or gal, and they know they're good, right? And when they get the ball, they make the shot and they go for it. And sometimes, and I suspect that for most of his life, Boromir was like that.
Yeah.
He was the guy that could make the clutch shot at the last minute. But a great player is a player that knows they're good, but also knows when to make the pass.
Yes.
Right? To make the pass to someone else. I can't do this pass right now. Maybe I could, but over there. I don't need the glory. It's not about me. And this is, I won't say it yet, but I'm going to come to it. Right? That what I see in here, and I think this is that interesting, knows the good in the world, and that good matters more than me.
Yeah.
The fact that it happens. That's the people that work behind the scenes, right? It's it's amazing how much you can actually get done when people aren't trying to take credit, right? It's more important that the hungry be fed than that I get credit for it, right? It's more important that this get done, right, than that someone pat me on the head and say what a good girl I am.
Yeah.
And so I think that assessment of good, right? So that discernment of understanding what is good, but also the discernment of knowing my own limitations. Right? I can't make this shot. I can't make this shot from here. Or I could, if there were no other choice, I could.
But the better choice is
to
let somebody else do it.
The less good player who also happens to be positioned right under the basket.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pass it to them and forego glory, personal glory, for the other thing. So there's this. Yeah. So humility is. I'm going to start out saying something, and then I might change my mind. It's the ability. I'm going to say share power, but maybe share power, right? I think it's the ability to share power. I'm gonna.
You're just gonna say it.
I'm gonna clean that. It's the ability to share power, which is the refusal to dominate, right?
And so much of everything, the rest of this book, over and over and over, evil is the domination.
Remember, Sauron does not share power, right? Sauron power has one purpose.
And when Saruman tries to remake himself in Sauron's image, he doesn't want to share power either.
He doesn't want to share power. Yeah.
And from the biggest of the scale to the littlest of the scale, all the way down to Lotho and the Sackville Bagginses.
Yes.
Power is not to be shared. Power is mine.
Power is mine, and that's the. And whether it's Boromir saying, "It's mine. I'm the only one that can really do it because I'm the star of the team," right? Or whether it's a much more crooked and bent perspective, right? So it's not domination, and then because I was trying to avoid saying this, but it's power with.
Yes.
Right? It's like I don't need to do this. I can let you do it because it matters to me more that this get done than that I have the power or that I get the credit.
Well, and part of this is the expansion of the self.
Right.
That I am not just me. I am part of this fellowship, and what you do, I do, and what I do, you do.
Yes.
And so it's fine to have you do it because
we're together.
We're together.
We're fellowship. And Boromir's understanding of leadership is I can do it.
Yes.
Right? And I think that's the way most people think of leadership, right?
He's learned this, and this is a thing that really is true to him.
Faramir's understanding of leadership is I cannot do this. At least I cannot do this alone. And I hope that we can. So I think there's a big, there's that big distinction. And I think what's interesting to me in here, and I think, I want to bring Paul in for a moment, and I think the reason I want to bring Paul in is because Paul is, it's low-hanging fruit to some extent, because this is, Paul, in Paul's letters, Paul talks a lot about the community and the community of fellowship, and I'm going to just jump into, we decided the Ephesians, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? I, therefore, the prisoner in the Lord, beg you to walk in a manner worthy of the calling to which you have been called, with all humility and gentleness, right? That's humility and gentleness, and we're actually going to talk about gentleness on the next video, with patience, bearing with one another in love, making every effort to maintain the unity of the Spirit. There's one body, one Spirit, just as you were called to the hope of your calling, one Lord, one faith, one baptism. So there's this sense of unity that can really only happen if you have humility, right? And realize that no, I can't do this, but we can. What's interesting is thinking about this humility not as domination, is I think this kind of leads into what we want to talk to next.
Humility is not subjugation either.
Yes.
It's not, well, okay, whatever you want. It is, we will do this together.
There's that fellowship, yeah. And so humility is required for discernment, right? So this is wisdom. Faramir connects it to wisdom. Paul connects humility to wisdom. But I think that it's also connected to what we want to talk about next is mercy, and that is something that Frodo exhibits, and several people exhibit it towards Gollum / Smeagol, and I think one of the interesting things about that is you can see this in Frodo and in other passages that mercy, that pity, that kindness is also very much tied to humility. Yeah. And that's what we'll talk about in our next video, which you can either search for frantically, or if you are in the playlist, it should come up next.